So hope I am audible to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Fine,
Yes, sir.
fine. That's great. That's great. So let's start with the binomial nomenclature. So there is a system of nomenclature in the first chapter only. So we were in first chapter, and the chapter was the living world. The living world. Living world. So in living world, first topic was that characteristic of living being, and we discussed that there is single characteristic of living being which do not have any exception, and that was metabolic processes, right? And we further studied metabolic process are of two type, catabolic and anabolic. And the next topic which is important in this chapter, that is the binomial nomenclature system. So let me explain you what is the binomial nomenclature system. Binomial nomenclature. So what is the binomial nomenclature? So binomial nomenclature is that there will be two names for every organism on this earth. So why it was required? The reason behind it, that everywhere you will find that for particular thing we call with a different name. Like this is a stylus. So suppose that it's a pen. It's a pen. So in English we call it pen, and in Hindi in India we call it kalam. Like even in Urdu we call it kalam, right? And I think it should be something different in Arabic and something different in Latin. So for the same thing we call with a different name. So it is like if suppose that I call kalam, so I don't think so that the people belongs to the Latin countries, like European countries, like Russians, Chinese, they won't be able to understand that what I am talking about. So the scientists thought that there should be similar name across the world, across the earth for any biological thing. Suppose that there is a plant, we call this neem in India. We call neem. Do you know this plant, neem?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right, neem. And there is one more, that is we call banyan tree. So in India, banyan tea, in Hindi we call it bargad, right? So I don't think that anyone who belongs to South Africa or anyone who belongs to Portugal or Turkey, he will be able to understand. They won't be able to understand what I am talking about. So it was suggested that there should be international name, or you can say there should be universal name across the earth. So for this purpose, we have developed binomial nomenclature. Like, so the actual biological name, or we can say binomial name of neem plant is Aja directica indica. Aja directica indica. If you call neem, nobody is going to understand across the world that what you are talking about. But if I will say this is Aja directica indica, across the earth, every scientist will come to know that I am talking about the neem plant, right? So for this purpose, we have developed this binomial nomenclature. So what is the binomial nomenclature? Now come to the point. Binomial nomenclature, in simple language, we call it, that is biological name. Biological name. So this system was developed by Carl von Linnaeus, a scientist. His name was Carl von Linnaeus. So Carl von Linnaeus developed a system that is called binomial nomenclature, right? So in binomial nomenclature, he said there will be two name for every organism. Suppose that there is like Muhammad Sheikhullah. So there are two names, Muhammad and Sheikhullah. In the same way, my name is Jayant Dwivedi, JD. So I have two names. So first is my actual name, second is my surname. So we also follow the binomial nomenclature, right? So first we write our name, and second that will be our title. So that's how we do. And American do that differently. Like they just do opposite. So they first use title and they use their name. So that is also binomial name. But in science, we use two names. So what are the two names? So in Aja dialectica indica, so the biological name or binomial name of neem is Aja dialectica indica. So what is Aja dialectica? Carl von Linnaeus said that the first name will be genus and the second name will belong to what? Species, right? Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Clear? Okay.
Sir, now we will speak about genus and species. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what are the genus and species. I'll discuss you after this binomial nomenclature. Okay. I'll discuss you the hierarchy as well. Okay. So what is that? So he said that there will be two names. First name will belong to genus and second name will belong to species. So that was the first rule. His second rule was that the name genus, like the first letter of genus, this will be capital letter. Like it will be in caps, capital letter. So that will be in uppercase or capital letter, right? Capital letter, or we can say this will be, let me write down, it will be in uppercase. Next, the first letter of a species, that will be in lowercase. Lowercase. So this was the second rule. So in binomial nomenclature, there are 5 rules. First rule, that the first name will be of genus, second name will be of species. Second rule was that both will be written separately and the name genus will start with uppercase and the name species will be start with lowercase. Third. So what is the third rule? Both will be written separately. Both will be written separately and underlined. Both will be underlined like this one. Underlined and should be written in italic. Should be written in italic. So that was the third rule. So both are written separately, italic a bit slant, and both will be underlined separately. The fourth rule was that the name should be either in English, and if English name is not available, the name should be in Latin language. Latin is a dead language, right? So first, like the fourth point is that the name should be either in English. So what is that? The fourth point is name should be either in English or in Latin. So what is for those things which do not have either English or Latin name? For sake of example, suppose that there is an animal which is exclusively found in India. So if it is exclusively, that is only found in India, then the name of that animal or plant will be in Hindi only. So suppose that there is a plant. So we call it Sarpgandha. That is a type of plant from where we get a medicine of blood pressure, and we call that reserpine. That we call that medicine reserpine, right? So Sarpgandha, that is found in only in India. Sarpgandha is a Hindi name. So how you will write the Latin name? So what to do? So first he said that if the particular organism do not have its name in English or Hindi, so first we have to Latinize that name. Means we have to give it first Latin name, right? Getting my point? So the fifth point is, if it do not have English or Latin name, it should be Latinized first. It should be Latinized first. Is it correct? Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
5 point of Carl von Linnaeus. Is it clear to everyone? Please tell me.
So what's the meaning of nomenclature? It's it's to give the name, yeah?
I'm not getting you.
What's,
Shafla?
yes, sir. Name of meaning of nomenclature.
Nomenclature means name, just
Name.
name. Nomenclature
Giving a
means
name, yeah? Giving a name for a
yeah.
specific animal.
Right.
Or
Yushra, Ishita, Samaira, is it clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
100% crystal clear?
Yes, sir.
Great. Shakula,
Sir,
100% crystal clear?
sir, what about you told that the name should be written either in English or in Latin? How means how should written in Latin?
Oh, Saifullah, suppose that your name is Saifullah. Okay, so that is, I think it's Arabic or Urdu name. So
Shakirullah means thanker for God. Who's
Okay, okay.
always thankful. Yes.
Okay,
It's,
so
it's
this
an
is
Arabic.
it's Arabic name. Okay, it's Arabic name, right? So suppose that if somebody wants to like give you a name in like binomial nomenclature. So first, what they will do, they will explain like they will give you a separate name that will be Latin name. They will give you a separate name and that will be Latin name. Like they won't take this name. Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so why they are doing that? Actually, Latin is a dead language. Nobody speaks that language. Latin is a dead language. No one across the earth speak Latin, because so there is if you will Latinize something, like if you will give if you will put my name in Latin, it is not going to change, because Latin is a dead language. Nobody is going to change my name. Got it? So
Yes.
that's why they said the name, if name is not in English or Latin, it's in Hindi, it's in Arabic, it's in Spanish, it's in other Russian, so it's in Mandarin. So you have to do what you have to do. You have to Latinize first, means that you have to give that organism first Latin name, then put this in binomial nomenclature. Clear? Shakula,
Yes.
clear?
Yes, sir. No.
Okay, great. So let me write it down all these 5 points.
So
Right.
just a few minutes.
Yeah. I am explaining you. Please keep on jotting down. Keep on jotting down. First point. So binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature is a process.
Sir, what
Binomial nomenclature is a process to put or give, biological name, to put or give biological name to organism. Full stop. It
biological
was
name, sir? Name
biological name to organism.
to organism.
Right, to organism. Full stop. It was developed by a scientist named Carl von Linnaeus.
So can you say the spelling?
C-A-R-L, Carl,
Yeah.
V-A-N, von
V-A-N.
Linnaeus.
Okay. What there is
L-I,
L-I.
let me see, L-I-N-N-A-E-U-S. Carl von Linnaeus. Full stop. First point. In biological name, first point. In biological name, the first name will represent, in biological name, first name will represent genus and the second component of name will be, second component of name will be of species. Full stop. Second point. The biological name are in generally Latin and it should be written in italic, and it should be written in italic and underlined separately. Third point. The first letter of genus with start, first letter of genus will start with uppercase and the first letter of species should be in a small case. Fifth point.
Fourth.
Fifth point.
Fourth.
Okay. Yeah, the fourth point. That the biological name should be either in English. Biological name should be either in English or in Latin language. Fifth point. If any organism do not have its Latin or English name, if any organism do not have Latin or English name, it should be Latinized first. Clear to everyone?
Done.
Okay, fine. So this was biological nomenclature. Let me give you some more example so that it becomes more clear for you. Suppose that we call it mango. It's written over there in your NCERT as well. So mango is English name, and we call it aam in Hindi. So mango. So mango, like across the world, everywhere, people won't understand mango because Chinese do not know the English. They won't be able to understand. If you call mango, so the Chinese won't understand. So what we have to call? We have to pronunciate its biological name. That is Mangifera indica. Mangifera indica. So Mangifera indica is biological name. If you'll write it down like this way, everybody, if you'll call that this is Mangifera indica, everybody across the world will understand that you are talking about the mango. So that is the biological name. So if you talk about the right, yeah.
Sir.
So the first line about the binomial nomenclature, can you please repeat the first sentence, that binomial nomenclature is a process after that? Because I got disconnected.
Binomial nomenclature is the process to write the biological name of organism, right? The biological name of organism. right? Clear? So mango.
Yes,
And
sir. Thank you, sir.
welcome, madam. If you are talking about the bee, honey bee,
Sir,
what is the
sorry.
biological?
Sir.
Yeah.
This for mango you give Mangifera indica, yeah? We can say it's a Latin.
Yeah, it's a Latin. Mangifera indica is Latin.
It's a Latin, yeah.
Yeah, Latin.
Okay.
Honeybee, that is Apis indica. Apis indica. So biological name of honeybee or unique binomial name. So biological name is binomial nomenclature, right? So biological name of the honeybee is Apis indica, right? And tiger. So tiger is English. In common name, biological name Panthera tigris. Panthera tigris, right? So some more names. Suppose that this is banyan tree.
Sir, what's that? Panthera what?
Panthera tigris.
Tigrish.
Okay. Banyan, that is Ficus bagalensis. Ficus bagalensis.
So what's banana?
Yeah, that's banyan.
What's it?
Don't know. Banyan tree, a big banyan tree. Have you ever seen? Not seen.
Sir, what it produce? What it gives us?
No, it do not produce anything. Like it's a very. This is the tree which have that the longest age. Like banyan tree lives for 400 or 500 years as well.
Oh, yes.
Longest surviving tree. Banyan, that is, and snake, like snake. A snake means cobra, right? That is naja. That is snake, and there are so many names. Potato, Solanum tuberosum. Solanum tuberosum. Rice, Oryza sativa. And during our these classes, we'll study a number of the names. Right? These are the very common kind of the examples. So that's why I written over here. So in every name, the first name belongs to genus and second name belongs to species. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So that
Yes, sir.
that is all about the biological nomenclature. Clear to everyone? Fine. Now let me explain you more things. Some more thing in this chapter. So there are very few things which are very important for you in this chapter. So very few things. So these two were the most important thing, and like these two were the only important thing. One more thing, that is a hierarchy. So few minutes back, like Sakula was asking that what is a species and what is a genus, right? So did you written all these names? Did you jot it down?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Look. So what is the hierarchy? Right. So what is the hierarchy? Let me explain. So look, if you have a question and you want to ask me that, sir, where did you live? And if you say that, sir, give me your address. So what I will do, I will give you my address. So how I will give my address? So first I will write it down my name. So I will call you, right now, that is Jayant Dwivedi. So that is the my name. So first I will tell you species and then genus species. So my name is that is genus and species. Then I will write it down my society name. So I'll write it down Lotus Bollywood. That is my society name. Then I will write it down. Look, then I will write it down sector 100. So then I will tell you my locality. Then what I will write it down? I will write it down my district. So I will write it down Noida. Then India. So that is complete my address, right? So what we did here, first we divided country into state, then a state divided into district, then district divided into sectors, then sectors divided into societies, Then society divided into houses. That is the way you write your address. Is it correct? In the same way, this hierarchy is the address of any organism. So first of all, that all organisms are divided into a kingdom. So kingdom is Animalia. Then kingdom are further divided into phylum. So phylum is Chordata. Then further phylum is divided into classes. Classes Mammalia. Then further classes are divided into order, Carnivora. Then order are divided into family, Felidae. Like all cats belong to this family. Leopard belong to Felidae family. Lion belong to Felidae family. Cat belong to Felidae family. Panther belong to Felidae family. All those which look like cat, they belong to Felidae family. Then further, family is divided into genus. So the genus is Panthera. And then Paradus, leopard. So leopard have its genus Panthera and like a species Paradus. And what about the tiger? So leopard and tiger both have same genus, but they have different species. So the biological name of leopard is Panthera pandrus. Paradus. And the name of like the biological name of tiger is Panthera tigris. So both have Panthera, means leopard and tiger both have same genus, but they have different species. They are from different species. Clear to everyone? So this is the order. So highest category is kingdom. Then we divide it into phylum, then class, then order, then family, then genus, then species. Clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Shakula, clear?
Yes, sir.
So take the screenshot of this one. Screenshot. Look, how you will remember all these hierarchy? Do you have any idea? You need to cram it. You have to cram it. Is it that?
What's that?
No, you need not to cram it. Everywhere there is some logic. So write it down what I say. Look. So let me tell you a story. And believe on me, in next 15-20 seconds, you will cram all these hierarchy today now only. So look, so I will make you to cram it right now only. You need not to put more effort. Look, so let me tell you a story. There was a king and there was a prince. So they have decided that we will give like the best quality of horse to a person who is the most genius in our family. So what they did, they called all those people in a classroom. So king and prince both came in a classroom and they called all their family member in classroom, and they given the best species of horse to that person who was the most genius in family, right? So that was the story only, right? So now I will represent this story in form of formula. So king and prince called their family, king and prince. King and prince went in class. King and prince went in class and ordered family member to come there and given prize to genius person. So king and prince went to a class and order their family, an ordered family member, to be there, to go there, or sorry, to come there, an ordered family member to come there, and given prize to genius person, and the gift was, and the prize was, best species horse. So what I infer? King, first it will come kingdom, then prince means phylum. P means phylum. King, that is kingdom. P, phylum. Class will be class. Order will be order. Family will be family. And then genus. Genius means genus, and species means species. So that's how by this story we can cram the order in correct sequence. King and prince went in a class. They ordered their family member to come there, given prize to genius person as best species horse. Clear? You need not to cram that.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Try to cram in this way. Don't just cram. Just make a story, make a formula, and then remember it. That is the best way to learn biology. And you can develop your own formula as well. Like you can develop your own sense, and better you develop your own formula. So that will help you out forever. So if you will remember like this way, it will be at your mind forever. You will never forget it. Clear to everyone?
Yes, sir. Sir, there is only
Yes, sir.
7 types of these names, yeah, in binomial nomenclature.
But there is a
One of these 7 types, yeah, kingdom and means prince and class and order.
right.
And family.
Yeah, like K means kingdom, P means phylum.
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 Yeah, means there's only there is only seven species, yeah.
Yeah,
7 types. Okay.
So look, so there is one more difference. If we are studying the plant, if animal classification, so the sequence will be first kingdom, second phylum, and then the third will be class, and then order, then family, then genus, and then species. So this is for the animals. So what about the plant? There is only single difference in plant and animal. If you are talking about the plant, rest of the order will be same, but in place of phylum there will be something different, and we will call it division. So in the case of plant, first will be kingdom, then division, then class, then order, then family, then genus, then species. That will be the sequence. Clear? So the only difference is that in place of phylum, when we are talking about the plant, in place of phylum we will use division. Clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Great.
Yes. Sir.
So look into the
phylum,
first
we use
chapter.
division, yes, sir.
Yes, Sakula?
In place of phylum, we should use division.
Right. In place of phylum, we have to use division. So now do one thing. Check your first chapter in NCERT. If you
Okay.
have any problem, then please let me know. Otherwise, this is all about the first chapter, and this is the only important thing in first chapter.
So what's taxonomical age and what is herbarium?
Okay, taxonomical aid. Taxonomical aid is like that help you to understand, or that help you to recognize any plant or animal. That help you to recognize any plant or animal. So taxonomical aids, like suppose that whenever we were child, like in the 5th or 4th standard, so my teacher used to say that you have to come with a herbarium. So first is herbarium. So first taxonomical aid is herbarium. So what happened? My teacher used to say you have to make a herbarium. I asked him what is herbarium. So he said that go around your vicinity, go around your area and collect 20 plant or plant part and write it down their full description. So like herbarium, what we do, herbarium, when we make herbarium, we make a file, and in the file, if it is a small plant, we stick that plant and write it down the biological name, biological classification of that plant. So that is the herbarium. So herbarium help us to understand or to classify the plant. Clear? Herbarium clear? So that helped me to understand classification. So that is taxonomical aid. Aid means help. So that helped me to learn taxonomy. Clear? Sakullah?
Yes, sir. So, sir, we can say that kingdom and phylum, these divisions, there are types of taxonomical categories. Yeah.
Exactly. There are taxonomical category.
What about taxonomical aids? They have how much type?
Taxonomical aid help us to learn. Look, Sakullah, let me explain you live. What is that? Suppose that there is a company. In company, further, there will be one CEO. And under the CEO, there will be 2 or 3 MD. Under the MD, there will be some senior manager. Under the senior manager, there will be under the every senior manager, there will be many assistant manager. Then senior executive, then executive. So that is the hierarchy of any company. In the same way, this is the hierarchy of any category or plant or animal kingdom. So first will be kingdom, then under kingdom there will be many phylum, then under every phylum there will be many classes, under one class there will be many order. So that's how it it is done over here. Right.
It's like military also, like general and colonel. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
Clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Sir,
yeah.
Do we have to learn these taxonomical aids for the exam?
No, Yusra, I will tell you just one taxonomical aid. I will just explain you. So herbarium, you understand? Understood? Herbarium?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So next is that is botanical garden. So so there are many botanical gardens. Like the biggest botanical garden is in London, and in Asia the biggest botanical garden is West Bengal, Calcutta in India. So what is the botanical garden? So what we do in botanical garden, we make a forest-like area, we cover it, and nobody can enter without permission. And in that area, what we do, we make we put many medicinal plant, we put many kind of endangered plant, many kind of rare species, many kind of popular species, many kind of medicinal species. So we put all over there. What is the purpose behind it? What happens in botanical garden? The people who are from botany background, they are doing research, they are doing this, they are student, they are like teacher. So they visit over there, they pay for they pay some ticket, and after ticket they enter in that botanical garden, they visit over there, they comes to know, like suppose that for sake of example, I have never seen a plant Ginkgo biloba. There is a plant Ginkgo biloba. Let me tell you, Ginkgo biloba. Let me make you more clear so that we understand. You are from biology background, so you all must know what is the Ginkgo biloba. So the name of the plant, Ginkgo biloba. So Ginkgo biloba is a plant which used to be found 160 million years ago, and it is still found in our country. In India, when I was in master's classes, like when I was in MSc master classes, so this is 2005. So on that time, there was a single plant in this country, Ginkgo biloba. So when I visited a botanical garden, I came to know what is the Ginkgo biloba. I have always seen these Ginkgo biloba in pictures and notebook and textbooks and these magazines, but I have never seen physically. So when I visited botanical garden, I came to know this is the Ginkgo biloba. So this is the oldest plant found in earth. So botanical garden are those area where we put this kind of the plant so that the student like me, the teacher like me, like they visit over there and they live see what is the Ginkgo biloba. Clear? So that is the purpose of botanical garden. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. Next is museum. Museum you all have seen. You need not to put any living plant. You can put any dead plant, extinct plant, and dead animal, specimen animal. In museum, you must see that in United States, USA, there is a museum which is dedicated to dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are not found on the earth. So they extinct long back. So we have dinosaurs fossils. So they have put dinosaur fossil over there. You can visit museum. You can understand what were dinosaur, how they used to live, and how they used to hunt, and what were the existence, which kind of the category they were reptiles. So in museum, you can see even those things which have extinct, right? So museum is collection of unique things. Clear?
Yes, sir. They shows us the historical topics.
Exactly. Museum, in museum, you can see even historical and extinct thing as well, right?
Yes.
Now, I will tell you what is the key.
Sir,
Key is
there
very
is
important.
zoological parks also, yeah?
Yeah, in zoological park, it's the same thing. Like we put animals in natural habitat, and you can visit like in zoological park. They are like zoos can be called zoological park. You must have visited zoo, right? You must have
Yes,
visited.
sir.
So zoo are there as zoological park. Both are the same. Okay. So key. So what is the key? Can somebody tell me what is key?
Sir, key? So it is another taxonomical
So what is
used
key?
for like identifying the plants or animals.
Okay. So let me explain you what is key. So what happens one fine day? Suppose that you people met like a person who's from Delhi. So you are talking, he or she is your friend, and you are talking. Like you are talking, there is a my teacher. He teaches me biology, and his name is JD sir. You do not have my pick, right? You do not have my pick. Neither you have my pick, nor you have any reference. So and he says that he lives in my colony. So what you will say? You will say, visit whenever you visit to your colony, meet to my sir and talk to him. So he will ask you how I will recognize that person. So you will say that is a person who have mustache. That is a person who have round face. Like that is a person who wear specs. And like these are the positive features which you tell me. Like this is the structure of that person. That's how he talk. He teaches biology. He lives in that society. So you are taking first. So you have given him 10 features which recognizes me. And like you made a column like so. The first point, he has mustache. Second point, he have healthy build. And then you will say he wear specs and he teaches biology and he lives in that area. So you told him 5 positive point. And in the same way, you written negative point. You will say any person who do not have mustache, he cannot be like JD sir. So you are telling, and then you are telling the person who is not wearing specs, he cannot be biology teacher. The person who is thin and like slim body, he cannot be biology teacher. So what you did, you given 5 positive point, yes point, and 5 negative point, means no point, right? And you given that list of the characteristic, and that person came in my society. He started recognizing me on the basis of my positive and negative feature. So on the basis of these positive and negative feature, without looking like my picture or without seeing my picture, he or she will recognize me. So this is the taxon, this is the key. So key are the positive or negative characteristic. On the basis of positive or negative characteristic, you can recognize particular organism. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Note it down. What is key? Key is important. Note it down. Key. Key is a taxonomical ad. Key is a taxonomical ad which help to recognize particular organism and help in classification. Full stop. Key is the list of contrasting characteristic, means one positive, one negative. Key is a list of contrasting characteristic on the basis of on the basis of these characteristic, on the basis of these characteristic, we recognizes and classify organism. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Clear to everyone?
Done.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So please go through your first chapter, and if you have any doubt again, please ask. Ishita, Shabaira, Yusra, Shakullah,
Yes, sir.
all of you, please go through the first chapter.
Yes, I
Yes.
have to do the
Any doubt?
no doubt.
No doubt?
No, sir.
Only the
Fine. So now I will move to the second chapter, and after the class, what you have to do, you have to again go to your home, like you are at your home. So you have to revise the first chapter. In case if you are facing any problem in any term, any concept, anywhere, and if you want me to like explain it, or if you want me to jot it down, so I will help you out. So you can ask me next class, right? Now we will start with the second chapter. And the actual biology of your syllabus, biology syllabus, starts with the first chapter only, second chapter only, right? So what is the second chapter? That is a biological classification. Now let's start with the biological classification. Biological classification. So before starting biological classification, so I would like to tell you, and in fact, I would like to ask you that do you have any idea? You must have studied in your class 10th, I think class 9, sorry, not class 9, that there are two kind of the cell in this world. There are only two kind of the cell in this world. The first,
and
right, prokaryotic
Eukaryotic.
and eukaryotic. So do you have fair idea about the prokaryotic and eukaryotic?
Prokaryotic means
it's in
they do not have the nucleus.
Very good. And eukaryotic?
They have the nucleus.
They have the nucleus. Okay. So every one of you have a fair idea about the prokaryote and eukaryote. Is
Yes.
that clear? Is it?
Yes,
is that
sir.
clear? Okay. Fine. So if you will say yes, then I will believe that you know it, right?
Sir, can you just define them as summary?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Like in any point, if you have any like a small doubt, please ask me. Feel free and without any hesitation. Look. So what happens? Billion and billions years ago, when the first organism came on the earth, so that organism was made up of prokaryotic cell. So what was that cell? So that cell have a cell wall, and after this cell wall, it have another layer, that is plasma membrane, right? So let me tell you basic. So first, the cell was covered with outer cover, and that cover was cell wall. And after this cell wall, there was a next cover, and that cover was cell membrane. Cell membrane, or sometime regularly, often we use a term plasma membrane. Both are same thing. Plasma membrane, right? Cell membrane or plasma membrane. So these were two coverings. So cell was a box-like structure. The outer covering was cell wall, and the inner covering was plasma membrane. After inside this plasma membrane, there was like gel-like substance which was filled inside this plasma membrane, and this gel-like substance, this was protoplasm. So there was a gel-like substance inside plasma membrane, that was protoplasm. So protoplasm was a gel-like substance. Inside the protoplasm, there was a thread-like structure, and this thread-like structure was DNA. So we call this is nucleic acid. So nucleic acid, and this nucleic acid was actually DNA. So DNA was swimming like in this protoplasm, and there was no nucleus kind of the thing. Right? After lakhs of years, more advanced. So this kind of cell was called prokaryotic cell. So prokaryotic, it have two words. It is made up of two things. So pro means old, and the another term is karyotic. So let me explain somewhere else. So DNA, right? So this was the prokaryotic cell. So pro word means old, and there was one more word, karyon. So karyon means karyotic, means nucleus. So the cell have older nucleus, they are called prokaryotic cell. After the million of years, a more advanced cell developed, and that more advanced cell were eukaryotic cell. So what were those cells? Let me tell you. So this cell also have a layer which is called cell wall. It also have another layer which is protoplasm, which is plasma membrane. Again, so cell wall and cell membrane both were present in both prokaryote eukaryote. It also have a gel-like structure that is called protoplasm. So this is the similar thing. Till now, there is no difference between prokaryote and eukaryote. So this was protoplasm. So protoplasm, you can say protoplasm is also present in prokaryote. In the same way, this is cell wall. It is also present over there. And the second layer was plasma membrane. You can say it is also present over there. Plasma membrane. But there was something unique which was present here. So what was that unique thing? There was a structure, and this is structure wall, like ball-like structure, a football-like structure, and we call this structure nuclear membrane. Nuclear membrane.
Prokaryotic doesn't have its shell, yeah?
Right. There is a special character which developed in eukaryote, that is nuclear membrane, and nuclear membrane is not found in prokaryote.
Okay.
Again, inside nuclear membrane, the gel which was filled inside nuclear membrane, that was different. That was not like protoplasm. It was a bit different. And the gel which was inside protoplasm, or sorry, we can say the gel inside. The gel inside this nuclear membrane, that was different, and we use a term nucleoplasm. It was also gel kind of thing. So nucleoplasm. Nucleoplasm is also not found over here. Nucleoplasm is not present. And again, inside there, a thread-like structure. This was DNA, or we can say nucleic acid. For all these three structure, when all these three structure comes together, we use term nucleus. So what is the difference between prokaryote and eukaryote? We can say in prokaryotic cell, the nucleic acid or DNA is not surrounded by nucleoplasm and nuclear membrane. But in eukaryotic cell, that is advanced cell, the DNA or nucleic acid is surrounded by a gel-like structure, nucleoplasm, and further a membrane-like structure that we call nuclear membrane. And that's why we use term eukaryotic cell. So what does it mean by eukaryotic cell? U means new. And again, the karyon word, karyon means nucleus. So the organism which have new nucleus are called eukaryote, and the organism having older nucleus, they are called prokaryote. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Crystal clear? Okay. So do one thing. Take a screenshot, or you can jot it down, whatever you feel comfortable. take a screenshot and draw it at your notebook wherever you are making notes. I think you people must be making notes, whatever I am teaching you in sequence. Are you doing that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Please make a proper note. That will help you a lot. And I claim you, whenever I will finish syllabus, go to the previous year NEET examination paper. I claim you will be able to do more than 85 questions out of the 90 questions. I claim for that. Believe on me. You are not going to miss even single question. I will teach you each and everything, but your duty is to make proper notes. And the second important thing, that you have to memorize it, or you have to learn it. And in case if you have any doubt, just ask me and feel free to ask any doubt. Right.
Yes.
So take a screenshot. Taken?
Yes, I have.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I have a question, and I want answer from all of you. Let me make. Please explain, or please tell me. So, for prokaryotes, we cannot use nucleus term because nucleus is not present. Why? Nucleoplasm is absent over there, and the second nuclear membrane is absent. So, for prokaryote, we cannot use nucleus term. So, what we call that structure? What you call this structure? What you call this structure?
Which structure? Okay, sir. Sir,
There is a specific term for the nucleus of prokaryote.
metabolism.
What you call this structure? This structure. Here I am calling this structure
Cellular
nucleus.
structure.
Anji, yes, beta.
Cellular structure.
Cellular, like this they both are made up of cells. So we will call prokaryote, eukaryote, both are cellular structure because both are made up of cells. Samaira, do you have any idea?
No, sir.
Yushra, any idea? Nucleus is not present in
No,
prokaryote.
sir.
Okay, so let me tell you. And please note it down. Write it down. Note. For prokaryote, we cannot use nucleus term, but we call this structure nucleoid. Clear? So in place of nucleus, we use term nucleoid. Note it down. In prokaryote,
So now to define a nucleoid.
yeah, that's what I am doing, defining nucleoid. Note it down.
Okay, sir. Wait.
For prokaryote, we cannot use nucleus term. For prokaryote, we cannot use nucleus term because they do not have nuclear membrane, because they do not have nuclear membrane and nucleoplasm. Hence,
Sir, sorry. They do not have a nuclear membrane and
nucleoplasm. Hence,
nuclear plasm.
hence, we use nucleoid term. Hence, we use nucleoid term for the nucleus of prokaryote. Clear?
For the
For the nucleus of prokaryote. So the prokaryotic nucleus is called nucleoid. So prokaryote have nucleoid and eukaryote have nucleus. Is it crystal clear to everyone?
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, what are those organisms which are made up of prokaryotic cell, and what are those organisms which are made up of eukaryotic cell? Look. So look. First.
Sir, humans and the animals, they have prokaryotic,
Right. Very good. Very good.
and
So
the
look.
plants eukaryotic.
All the bacteria are eukaryotic. All the blue-green algae, BGA, blue-green algae are prokaryotic. So all the bacteria are prokaryotic. All the blue-green algae are prokaryotic. But all plants are made up of eukaryotic cells. all animal are made up of eukaryotic cell. All fungus, they are made up of eukaryotic cell. That's it. There are only 5 categories of organism across the world. There is no 6th category. Clear? Note it down.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So there are no fifth category of organism. Okay. Now what is the classification system? There are a number of the classification system, and nowadays we follow a classification system which was made up of a scientist. His name was R.H. Whitaker. So R.H. Whitaker is a scientist who divided all organism, either it's made up of eukaryote or prokaryote. So he classified all organism in 5 categories. So that is the called 5 kingdom classification system. So 5 kingdom classification system. Classification, right? System. So 5 kingdom classification system that was given by a scientist, and the name of scientist is R.H. Whitaker. So R.H. Whitaker given this 5 kingdom classification system in 1969. He divided all organisms found on the earth. He divided them in 5 categories and called these categories what? Kingdom. Clear? So now what is the 5 kingdom classification system? Let me explain. Look. So R.H. Whitaker, he said that there are all organisms are made up of 2 kinds. First, prokaryotic cell and then eukaryotic cell. He said all those organisms which are made up of prokaryotic cell, they are unicellular. Their body is made up of only one cell, unicell. And he put them in a single kingdom that is called Monera. It's not O, Monera. M-O-N-E-R-A, Monera. Something misprint over here. So this is Monera. So first kingdom is Monera, right? Then
Yes.
he said that eukaryotes may be unicellular or multicellular. So he called us all unicellular eukaryote have been put in second kingdom, and that is Protista. Then he again said that multicellular may be of 2 types. The first multicellular organism means multicellular, they are made up of number of cells, more than 2 cells. So multicellular organism, those multicellular organisms which have cell wall and those which do not have cell wall. He said those organisms which are eukaryote, which are multicellular and have cell wall, they can be further divided in 2 categories. They do not perform photosynthesis, and he made 3rd kingdom fungi, and another which are able to perform photosynthesis, he made 4th kingdom Plantae. And again the last one, those organisms which are eukaryote, which are multicellular, but they do not have cell wall, so he made a 5th kingdom, that is Animalia. So he divided all organisms as 5 kingdom: Monera, Protista, fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
100% clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So take this screenshot.
Monera, okay.
Monera means bacteria comes in Monera. Protista, amoeba, paramecium, unicellular eukaryote, they comes in Protista. Fungi, mushroom, bread mold, they all comes in fungi. Plantae, angiosperm, gymnosperm, algae, they all come in Plantae. Animalia, even we human, monkeys, all those vertebrate, invertebrate, they all, earthworm, leeches, starfishes, they all comes in Animalia. Clear? Everyone clear?
Yes.
So like write it down. Heading is the 5 kingdom classification system. So did you take any screenshot of this slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So again, jot it down in your notebook after this class. Okay. Leave this space for that. Now again come to the 5 kingdom classification. Okay. So note karenge. Please note it down. The first 5 kingdom classification system. 5 kingdom classification system was developed in 1969 by an American
Sir, sorry,
taxonomist.
sorry, just let me let the heading, then we will start. Okay.
So 5 kingdom classification system was developed by 5 kingdom classification system was developed by an American taxonomist and American taxonomist. Who are taxonomists? What are the taxonomists? What they do? Taxonomist who study taxonomy. What is taxonomy?
Sir,
So simple, yaar. Nothing, yaar. Just classification system. Taxonomy means
classifying.
Taxonomy means classification. So all those scientists who do the research only in classification, they are called taxonomists. Clear?
Means, sir, if I saw a taxonomist, means, sir, I can say he can classify any animal, yeah.
Right. He can
Or
classify any
plants
animal.
or any organism.
Yeah, and they are busy in classifying more and more new animals which are coming, which have been discovered. Like suppose that a new animal have been discovered, so they will start they will study, they will start classification system, and they will try to make classification more and more easier, right? So they are called taxonomists. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. So he was an American taxonomist. Full stop. He divided all the organism in 5 groups. He divided all the organism in 5 groups and called these group kingdoms. Full stop. There were 5 criteria. There were 5 criteria behind the. There were 5 criteria behind the classifying these organisms. There were 5 criteria behind classifying these organisms. The first criteria was complexity of cell structure. Complexity of cell structure. That is prokaryote or prokaryotes or eukaryote. So first criteria was complexity of cell structure. Second cost criteria was complexity of body structure. That is unicellular or multicellular. What was the third criteria of his classification? The third criteria of the classification was mode of nutrition. Mode of nutrition. So what was the mode of nutrition? That is photo,
Autotrophic or heterotrophic?
right, phototrophic or heterotrophic. Phototrophic or heterotrophic. What was the fourth criteria? Fourth criteria? Tell me. Ecological lifestyle. So what is the ecological lifestyle? Like, that is producer. So plant or producer. Then consumer, animal or consumer. And fungi and bacteria are decomposer. Right? So ecological lifestyle. Last but not the least, phylogenetic relationship. What is that? Phylogenetic relationship. What is phylogenetic relationship? Do you have any idea? That is evolution. What is evolution? Look, first will always come first. So those who came on the earth first will always come first in classification. So first, who came? Monera. So the first kingdom is Monera. Then Protista. Second kingdom is Protista. Then fungi came on the earth. Third kingdom is fungi. Then Plantae came on the earth. Fourth is Plantae. And the last comer on the earth are Animalia. That's why the fifth kingdom is animal. So phylogenetic means those who came in like later, they have been put later in classification. So classification, phylogenetic means sequence of evolution. Clear?
Yes, sir.
How the life evolved. Clear to everyone? That is, so this is very important for your school examination. So now we will study like classification system. What about the virus? Who's going to tell me? So where we need to put virus in classification system or five kingdom classification? What is the status of virus?
Separate group.
Sir, it's a separate group, yeah.
Separate?
Sir, or we can give them in Protista.
Resta. Ishita? Samara?
Yes, sir.
So where virus comes? Where we can put them?
Separate group.
Separate group. Okay. So what is that group?
Sir, can we put them in Protista?
Yushra, where we can put these viruses?
We cannot put the viruses under a five kingdom classification
Very good. Very good. Why?
because it is sometimes living, sometimes non-living.
Very good. Very good. Excellent. Look, virus is that boy of a family, which is virus is that boy of biology family, which have been put out of the family or which had been put out of the house. So it has been discarded that we cannot put them in family of biology. Why? This is neither biological classification is for all those organisms which are biological organisms, mean all those which are living. But virus is neither living nor non-living. Sometime it behave like living, sometime it behave like non-living. So biology, for biology, we cannot use term cell. You can't use cell term. So what do you call them? You call them acellular, which is not a cell. So what we call them? Acellular. You cannot use organism term for virus because organism means living. So what do you call them? You will call them structure. Structure. So what we call We call viruses are acellular structure. That is, they are not a cell. First important. That is the most important fact. Next. So what is the status of virus? Viruses are neither living nor not. Why? Because
they're living when they're in a body, like when they're living on the body of a host, and they're non-living when they are like alone.
Very
They're
good,
not
very good.
on the
Great,
body
great.
of the host.
If they didn't get nutrient, then they will be like dead, yes, sir.
Right. Look, when viruses, when they are inside any living cell. So when virus enter inside any living cell, what they do, they start dividing or reproducing. They start dividing. Means they become 1 to 2. They start dividing. Then we say that viruses are living. This is reproduction is behavior of living, right? Living, they reproduce.
No.
And when they are outside of any living cell, they do not divide. So they behave like non-living. So viruses are neither living and nor non-living. So what we call them? Viruses are called connecting link. Viruses are called connecting link between living and non-living. Note it down. Viruses are acellular structure. Viruses are acellular structure. Full stop. We cannot use viruses are acellular structure. We cannot use cell or organism term. We cannot use cell or organism term for virus. We cannot use cell or organism term for virus. Full stop. Viruses are called connecting link. Viruses are called connecting link between living and non-living. Viruses are called connecting link between living and non-living because inside living, because inside living they start dividing, and because inside living they start dividing, and out of living body they do not divide. Give me just 1 second. Just a second. Okay.
So just give 10 minutes, finish 1 minute.
Inside living body, sorry, outside of living body, they do not divide. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So
Yes, sir.
right. So viruses are like, virus is that family member of virus which have been like pushed out of the house of biology, right? So it's a different entity, and we will study deep in about the viruses in next coming chapter. So now they start classification system. Okay. So first is Monera. So put the heading Monera. So what are the Monera, and which are the part of Monera? So let's start with the Monera. Let me tell you about the Monera. So who are the representative of Monera? I will explain you each and everything in detail. So put the heading Monera. Monera, Kingdom Monera, in fact. Kingdom Monera. So we have already understood that all the member of Monera, they are first prokaryotes, and second, they can never be multicellular. They will be always
Unicellular.
right unicellular organism. Right? They can never be multicellular. So who are the representative of Monera? So I told you that these are bacteria.
Bacteria is
So bacteria means archaebacteria. I will tell you what are the archaebacteria. Archaebacteria. Then eubacteria. Then archaebacteria, eubacteria. Then BGA. BGA बोले तो BGA blue green algae. Blue green algae. And then one more. That is I think it's not there in yeah, it's there in the form of heading this mycoplasma. Mycoplasma. So these are the four main representative of Monera. They explain each and everything about the Monera. Let me make you more clear. What are the Monera? So before starting with the Monera, let me tell you, let me explain you the structure of bacteria or bacterial cell. Monera. Okay. Okay, and let me explain you the bacterial cell, right? So this is not the actual structure. This is a true bacterial cell. Okay, this is a bacterial cell, right? So bacterial cell. So you will see the outer covering of bacteria is made up of cell wall. Out of the cell wall, this blue color structure, this is called capsule. So this blue colored structure is capsule. Then so first covering is capsule. Then after the capsule, there is second covering, that is cell wall. So bacteria have extra covering, that is capsule. Capsule is a gel-like structure. When there is scarcity of water or high temperature, this capsule become rigid. After, so what is the function of capsule? The function of capsule is protection. Then after capsule, there is one more structure, that is cell wall. After the cell wall, there is one more structure, that is plasma membrane. And in plasma membrane, there is a folding. We call this folding mesosome. So what is the function of mesosome? So first, capsule, protective function. Cell wall gives shape to bacteria. Then there is structure plasma membrane. It maintains the exchange of material. Then there is a structure called mesosome. So mesosome, what are they? Mesosome are those structures which help in production of energy. Why? Like in bacteria, do not have mitochondria. So in bacteria, you know, do you know the mitochondria?
It's a part in
Yes,
the
sir.
in the cell, blood cell.
Right,
Yes,
they are,
it helps to give energy.
right. It has to go. So we call that powerhouse of cell.
Powerhouse
Huh?
of the cell.
Right, powerhouse of cell. Right. So bacteria do not have any powerhouse, like it, they do not have mitochondria, but they do require energy. They need energy to live. Everything which is living, it require energy. So how do they produce energy? So mesosome help in production of energy, and they also help in cell division, right? Then they have one more structure which is common between prokaryote and eukaryote. There is a single thing which is common between prokaryote and eukaryote. That is a ribosome. So bacteria have ribosomes. So what are the ribosome? What they do? They produces protein.
Proteins, yeah.
Right, they produces
It's
protein.
same in all these cells, yes, sir.
Exactly, they are found in all cells, even
Yeah.
eukaryote and prokaryote. But the difference is only that prokaryote have smaller ribosomes and eukaryote have larger ribosomes. Okay, one more thing. All the cells have this gel-like structure. We call that protoplasm base, and they have chromosome or DNA, like we have discussed. And outside of bacteria, they have small these hair-like structure. We call this fimbriae. What they do, whenever bacteria goes inside our body or adhere with any surface, so they help anchoring bacteria. So they help bacteria to anchor with any surface. So they are called fimbriae. They are fimbriae, and they have 1 to 4 these long thread, and these are called flagellum. Flagella help bacteria to swim in water or liquid or in blood. So this is the structure of bacteria. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So this is the representative cell of Monera, right?
So should we draw this in the notebook?
Yeah, you can do one thing. You can take the screenshot and leave the space in your notes, and after the class, please draw it. So this is good diagram. So that's why I pick informative and good diagram for you, so that like better explanatory diagram. I choose the diagram. I select this diagram. So take the screenshot and draw the exact that diagram what I show you in like slide. Okay, taken.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So now write it down. The general characteristic of what? Monera. Note it down. The general characteristic of Monera. So let me remove the diagram so that I keep jotting down on board. Okay. So general characteristic of Monera. First, so you have written down they are prokaryote. Second, you have written down they are unicellular. Third, in Monera, cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan. Important. Cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan. What is peptidoglycan? Peptido means protein, glycan means sugar. That is Latin. So that is combination of protein plus sugar. So in bacteria, cell wall is not made up of cellulose. You must have studied that in cell wall in plant, they are made up of cellulose. But in bacteria, in the case of bacteria, the cell wall is not made up of cellulose. It's made up of something different. And what is that structure? That is peptidoglycan. So in Monera, the cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan. Next point. Capsule is made up of gel-like mucilage. Capsule is made up of gel-like mucilage covering. Capsule is made up of gel-like mucilage covering. Next, they have, and one more important, they have a circular naked DNA. What is that? Look. So how does human DNA look like, or how does eukaryote DNA look like? Like this one. So this is eukaryotic DNA. It's straight, it's helical, it's in
Yes.
form of thread. Like, but bacteria do not have this kind of DNA. So
They have
bacterial DNA
nucleus.
are circular. So how they look like? They look like this one. So first I written that bacterial DNA is circular. So bacterial DNA is not straight like thread. This is circular first. And the second important thing in human DNA or any other DNA, these DNA are associated with some protein, and we call this protein histone. We'll study in later classes, histone protein. So in bacteria, DNA is, or we can say in Monera, DNA is not associated with any protein. They are naked. Clear? Write it down.
Yes, sir. So,
In Monera, DNA is not associated with, in Monera, DNA is not associated with any protein. Next point. They have mesosomes. They have mesosomes, which are folding of, they have mesosomes, which are folding of plasma membrane, which are foldings of plasma membrane, and they help in energy production, and they help in energy production like mitochondria. They help in energy production like mitochondria. Full stop. Write it down in the same point. Bacterial DNA remains attached. Bacterial DNA remains attached with these mesosomes. Bacterial DNA remains attached with these mesosomes. Next point.
Then, sir. Next point.
Next point. They have the ribosome. They have the ribosome, which help in protein synthesis. Synthesis means formation, which help in protein synthesis, and size of ribosome is 70S. What is S? What does this S denote? Any one of you? Can you help me out?
What is
What?
70S?
S means, look, ribosome and other, mainly ribosome and other cell organelle are measured in different units. This is neither a measurement of length nor measurement of mass, and not density even. So what is S? S stands for Swedberg. Swedberg was a scientist who measured the mass of ribosome, and he made his centrifugation machine. So on the in the respect of Swedberg, we given the name of unit, that is Swedberg. So Swedberg is a type of centrifugation constant and represented by S. It is centrifugation constant. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next point. Reproduction in Monera. Reproduction in Monera takes place with the help of binary fission.
Sir, sorry, can you repeat reproduction in Monera?
Reproduction in Monera takes place with the help of binary fission. So what is binary fission? Binary fission, when a bacterial cell get older, a small ridge or this constriction like structure formed, and then bacteria gets divided into two new bacteria. This is called binary fission.
Sir, can we say they are a type of unisexual?
Right, that is a type of asexual reproduction. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sexual. Okay. So they're type of asexual, yeah? Asexual.
Yeah, right. They reproduce. This is asexual reproduction. Now one more question, note it down here. Note that is a question for your NEET examination. Bacteria also reproduce sexually. Bacteria also reproduce sexually. By the process of bacteria also reproduce sexually by the process of DNA exchange. By the process of DNA exchange. Clear?
Yes, clear.
Okay. So if someone asks you that do bacteria reproduce sexually, you can say yes, bacteria do reproduce sexually. How? Just transfer or exchange of DNA. By the process of exchange of DNA, we say that bacteria reproduce sexually as well. Okay. So now I written down there are four kind of representative member of Monera: Archaebacteria, Eubacteria, blue-green algae, and Mycoplasma. We'll study all of them. So I will start with Archaebacteria. Clear? So let's study with Archaebacteria. So what is the difference between a normal bacteria and Archaebacteria? Archaebacteria. What are the Archaebacteria? Look. Archaebacteria. Archae means old, very old, ancient. You must have listened. There is a department, archaeology department. What they do? They discover fossil. Archaeological. What they do? Have you listened? Archaeology?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, archaeological people, what they do? They discover dinosaurs, like a skeleton. What they do? They discover, they do the discovery of these pyramids and all that. So they study. So archae, that is a Latin word. Archae means old, and bacteria means bacteria. So those bacteria which are very older bacteria. So archaebacteria, what are they? They are very
Old bacteria.
Old bacteria, and one the more peculiarity, what should I say? They are super cells. Why? They have supernatural power. Why? They can exist in all those conditions where the rest of the organism cannot survive. What are those positions? So where they are noted down. Archaebacteria are.
Sir, sorry.
Archaebacteria are the oldest cell or organism. Archaebacteria are the oldest cell or organism of the earth, and they are known as living fossils. They are known as living fossils. Underline it. When I say it, underline it, means it's a question for medical examination. They are called living fossils, means all those things which developed along with archaebacteria or after archaebacteria, they are not found on the earth. They all have been fossilized. But archaebacteria are the first, most probably the first organism of the earth, and still they do exist. Next one. They are found in extreme environmental condition. They are found in extreme environmental condition where rest of the organism,
Sir, they are found in
extreme environmental conditions.
Environment.
Extreme environmental condition where rest of organism cannot survive. Where rest of organism cannot survive. Full stop. Their cell wall is made up of a special type of their cell wall is made up of a special type of compound. It's a sugar named pseudomurane.
It's a sugar?
Yeah. So cell wall is made up of sugar, and which is pseudomurane. So what is the name of that compound or sugar? Pseudomurane. Full stop. These bacteria have been divided into following category.
These bacteria have been
divided into following category. So we have divided further archaebacteria into further classification. So first one are called methanogen. You know, methane is one of the most poisonous gas, and no organism survive in the presence of methane. But methanogen, they are the bacteria. Noted down. Methanogen, they are the archaebacteria found in marshy area. And they produces methane gas. They are also found, important है, they are also found in the gut of herbivore. They are also found in the gut of, means stomach of, herbivore like buffalo or deer, like buffalo. They are also found in the gut of herbivore animal like buffalo and deer. The second point, halophiles. So halo is Latin term. Halo means salt. Halophiles. Halophiles are the bacteria which are found in salt-rich lake. Halophile are the bacteria which are found in the salt-rich lake, like Dead Sea. So halophiles are found in Dead Sea. What is Dead Sea? Any one of you have any idea what is Dead Sea and where is it? Dead Sea. Any idea? Where is this present on globe? Don't have any idea? Look, Dead Sea is the only sea where if you will jump on the water, you won't sink down. You will keep on floating on the surface of water, because the density of sea is that much that it won't let you to drown, or it won't let you to go inside water. You'll keep on floating. Like nobody can commit suicide in Dead Sea. So that much dense water. This is the only sea which is not connected with any ocean. It is surrounded by land. It is surrounded by Lebanon, Jordan, Palestine, Israel, Syria. So these 5 countries surround this Dead Sea. Dead Sea, why we call it Dead Sea? Because Dead Sea, there is no living organism, neither any plant or nor any animal is found in the sea. That's why we call it, means life is not over there. That's why we call it Dead Sea. This is the saltiest lake or sea of the earth. This is the only sea where boats do not work, or boats do not cannot be operated in the sea. And what is more peculiarity? This is the only sea where waves are not formed, because water is that much heavy. So these are the property of Dead Sea. And after the class, search it on the globe and map on Google, and you will come to know lots of the properties of or peculiarity of the sea. But these halophiles are found, these archaebacteria are found on Dead Sea. Like no life is present in Dead Sea, but archaebacteria is present. That's why I said they are super cells. Last but not the least, one more could be thermoacidophiles. Thermoacidophiles. So thermoacidophiles, note it down. Thermoacidophiles, they are found in very high temperature, like thermal oceanic vent. What are these thermal oceanic vent? They are found in very high temperature, like thermal oceanic vent. What are the thermal oceanic vent? Do you have any idea? Volcano are not found only on the earth surface. They are also found on the sea floor. So in sea floor, when volcano erupt, like their mouth is called thermo oceanic vent. So the mouth of the sea floor volcano, they are found over there. So archaebacteria are 3 types: methanogens, halophiles, and thermophiles. Thermo means temperature, high temperature. Halo means high salt. Methanogens means in presence of methane. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So it presents in hot springs, yeah?
Yeah, they are also present in hot springs. So everything is crystal clear, or do you have any like confusion or any doubt? Any doubt, please ask me. Ishita, clear? Any doubt? Yushra?
Yes.
No, sir.
Samaira?
No, sir.
Shakula? Any doubt, beta?
No, fine, sir.
Okay. So what you have to do now, like the PPT, like what you have taken a screenshot, you have to draw the diagram and flow chart, all those things which you have taken as a screenshot. Second thing, whatever we have studied today, you have to do 2 things. First, you have to revise all those things. You have to read out all those things from your notebook or from your like NCERT book as well. And in case if you feel any problem, in case if you have any question, jot it down somewhere. And in the next class, we'll start from the bacteria. In the next class, you will remind me that, sir, you have to start from this one. So you have to complete this eubacteria. We'll complete eubacteria.